Picture this. You're lying in bed at 2 in the morning, heart pounding like you just ran a marathon, but you haven't moved in hours. Your mind races through every conversation you had today, every decision you made, every possible thing that could go wrong tomorrow. Your chest feels tight, you're breathing shallow, and there's this weight pressing down on you that you can't name or shake. You tell yourself to calm down, to breathe, to stop being ridiculous. But the more you fight it, the worse it gets. So, you do what everyone does. You Google your symptoms. You read articles about anxiety disorders, clinical diagnoses, chemical imbalances. You start believing there's something fundamentally broken inside you that needs to be fixed. But here's what nobody's telling you, what the pharmaceutical companies and even some therapists won't admit. Your anxiety isn't a malfunction. Your anxiety is a message, and you've been taught to silence the messenger instead of listening to what it's trying to tell you. We live in a world that has pathologized one of the most important survival mechanisms your body possesses. We've turned a feature into a bug, a signal into a disease, a guide into an enemy. The old belief is simple and everywhere. Anxiety is a mental illness that needs medication, therapy, or both to manage. It's a chemical imbalance in your brain, something you're stuck with, something you have to control or suppress. That narrative has made billions of dollars and kept millions of people dependent on systems that treat symptoms without ever addressing causes. And the longer you believe that story, the more powerless you become. Here's the truth they don't want you to understand. Your anxiety is your system's way of telling you that something in your life is fundamentally misaligned with who you actually are. It's not random, and it's not broken. It's precise, and it's trying to save you. Your brain is the most sophisticated threat detection system ever created. It's running constant calculations, scanning your environment, your relationships, your choices, looking for anything that threatens your survival or authenticity. When it finds a threat, it doesn't send you an email or a polite notification. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline, makes your heart race, tightens your chest, puts you on high alert. This is anxiety, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
The problem isn't the anxiety itself. The problem is that you're living in a way that constantly triggers these alarms. And instead of changing what's triggering them, you're trying to turn off the alarm system. Jake worked a corporate job he hated for 6 years, waking up every Monday with his stomach in knots, his mind racing with dread. He went to therapy, tried 3 different medications, did breathing exercises, meditation, everything. Nothing worked because nothing was addressing the actual problem. He was spending 40 hours a week in an environment that violated everything he valued, working for people he didn't respect, doing work that felt meaningless to him. His anxiety wasn't a disorder. His anxiety was his soul screaming at him that he was wasting his life. And every attempt to quiet that scream without changing his situation just made the scream louder. This is what I call the misalignment signal. Your anxiety spikes when there's a gap between who you are and how you're living, between what you value and what you're doing, between your authentic self and the mask you're wearing. That tightness in your chest before social events, that's not social anxiety disorder. That's your system telling you you're about to spend energy maintaining a version of yourself that isn't real. And your body knows that's exhausting and unsustainable. That panic before important decisions, that's not generalized anxiety. That's your intuition recognizing that you're about to choose what you think you should do over what you actually want to do. That racing mind at night, that's not insomnia caused by anxiety. That's your subconscious trying to process all the ways you betrayed yourself today, all the times you said yes when you meant no, all the moments you performed instead of existed. Your brain is trying to course correct, trying to get your attention, trying to tell you that the life you're building doesn't match the person you actually are, and you're medicating the messenger. Here's where it gets deeper. Anxiety isn't just about present misalignment. It's about future threat prediction based on past data. Your brain has learned what situations led to pain, rejection, or loss of safety, and it's trying to protect you from repeating those experiences.
Emma had severe anxiety around intimate relationships, convinced she had attachment issues that needed years of therapy to resolve. Every time someone got close, her system would go into full panic mode, racing thoughts, fear of abandonment, constant need for reassurance. But when she traced it back, the pattern was clear. Every person she'd ever loved had eventually used her vulnerability against her. Her anxiety wasn't irrational. It was her system saying, "We've been here before, and it ended badly. Protect yourself." The anxiety wasn't the problem. The problem was that she kept choosing emotionally unavailable people who confirmed her brain's threat assessment. Her anxiety was right, and she was ignoring it. This is the pattern recognition protocol. Your anxiety often knows something your conscious mind doesn't want to admit. It sees patterns you're refusing to see, recognizes red flags you're choosing to ignore, predicts outcomes based on data you're pretending doesn't exist. When your gut tells you something's wrong about a person, a job, a decision, and your anxiety spikes, that's not a disorder. That's your accumulated wisdom trying to prevent you from making the same mistake again. But we've been taught to override our instincts, to ignore our gut, to push through discomfort, to be rational instead of intuitive. We've been trained to distrust the very system designed to keep us safe. So we silence the anxiety with pills, with therapy that focuses on cognitive distortions, with techniques that help us tolerate situations we should actually be leaving. We learn to cope instead of learning to listen. Here's the third layer that changes everything. Anxiety increases when you're living below your potential. When you're playing small, hiding your truth, dimming your light to make others comfortable, your system registers this as a threat to your survival. Not physical survival, but psychological survival. Your brain knows that a life unlived is a kind of death. That potential unrealized creates a specific kind of suffering that's worse than any external failure. Daniel had paralyzing anxiety about public speaking, about being visible, about sharing his ideas. He assumed he had a phobia, something hardwired that he'd have to manage forever. But the anxiety only appeared when he was about to be seen for who he really was.
When he was performing a role, saying what people expected, staying small and acceptable, the anxiety vanished. The anxiety only showed up when authenticity was required, when he was about to step into his actual power. His brain had learned that visibility equals vulnerability, that being seen means being judged or rejected. So it created anxiety to keep him hidden, to keep him safe by keeping him small. But that safety was killing him slowly. The anxiety that was trying to protect him was actually protecting the cage he'd built around himself. And the real threat wasn't being seen, it was never being known. This is the visibility paradox. Your anxiety often spikes right before breakthrough moments, right before you're about to claim something real, right before you're about to stop hiding. And most people retreat when they feel this anxiety, mistaking proximity to growth for proof of danger. The moments that make you most anxious are often the moments that matter most. The conversations that terrify you are the ones that need to happen. The decisions that paralyze you are the ones that will change everything. Your anxiety isn't telling you to run away. It's telling you that what's ahead matters, that there's real risk, that you're about to do something that could actually change your life. And change, even positive change, always triggers the alarm system. So you have a choice. Treat the anxiety as an enemy to be defeated, or treat it as intelligence to be decoded. Fight against it, or learn from it. Medicate it into silence, or listen to what it's desperately trying to tell you.
The pharmaceutical approach wants you to believe anxiety is like diabetes, a chronic condition requiring lifelong medication to manage a chemical imbalance. But anxiety isn't diabetes. Anxiety is pain, and pain is information. If you broke your leg and took painkillers strong enough that you could walk on it without feeling anything, you'd destroy your leg permanently. The pain isn't the problem. The pain is telling you about the problem. Your anxiety is telling you about misalignment, about unresolved patterns, about compromised authenticity, about unlived potential. And you're taking emotional painkillers so you can keep walking on the broken parts of your life without feeling them.
I'm not saying medication is never necessary. I'm saying we've made it the first response instead of the last resort, the solution instead of the temporary support, while you do the real work of changing what's actually wrong. The real work is harder because it requires you to admit that your life might need to fundamentally change, that the relationship creating constant anxiety might need to end, that the career path causing daily dread might be the wrong path, that the version of yourself you're performing might need to die. Anxiety is the price you pay for living inauthentically. It's the tax on self-betrayal. It's the alarm that goes off when you're spending your one irreplaceable life pretending to be someone you're not, doing things that don't matter, tolerating situations that diminish you. And here's what's wild. The moment you start aligning your life with your truth, the moment you start making choices that honor who you actually are, the anxiety doesn't disappear, but it transforms. It stops being this constant, nameless dread and becomes specific, purposeful, even useful. It shows up when you're about to betray yourself, when you're about to choose comfort over growth, when you're about to repeat an old pattern. It becomes a guidance system instead of a torture device, a friend instead of an enemy, a signal instead of noise. Maya spent years trying to cure her anxiety through every method available: therapy, medication, meditation, yoga, supplements, everything. Nothing worked until she started asking a different question. Instead of, how do I get rid of this anxiety? She started asking, what is this anxiety trying to tell me? And the answers were brutal but liberating. Leave the relationship that's slowly killing you. Quit the job that makes you hate Mondays. Stop pretending to be fine when you're falling apart. The anxiety didn't disappear when she made those changes, but it stopped being constant, it stopped being debilitating, it became a tool she could use instead of a weight she had to carry. Your anxiety knows things you don't want to know. It sees truths you're not ready to face. It's trying to protect you from a life half-lived, from potential unrealized, from authenticity sacrificed for acceptance.
The question isn't how to get rid of anxiety. The question is what your anxiety is trying to protect you from, and whether that protection is actually serving you or imprisoning you. Sometimes anxiety protects you from real danger, and you should listen. Sometimes anxiety protects you from imagined danger based on old wounds, and you need to challenge it. And sometimes anxiety is trying to protect you from your own potential by keeping you small and safe. Learning which is which requires you to stop running from the anxiety and start interrogating it. What specifically triggers this feeling? What pattern does it match from your past? What would happen if you did the thing you're anxious about? What would happen if you didn't? Most people never ask these questions because they're too busy trying to make the anxiety stop. But the anxiety won't stop until you address what's causing it. And you can't address what's causing it if you won't look at it. So, here's your path forward. The next time anxiety shows up, don't immediately reach for something to numb it or distract from it. Sit with it. Ask it what it's protecting you from. Ask it what it wants you to know. The answers won't always be comfortable. They might require you to make changes you've been avoiding. They might confirm things you suspected but didn't want to believe. They might demand courage you're not sure you have. But the alternative is spending your entire life medicated, managed, coping with the signal your body is sending that you refuse to decode. The alternative is living a life where you're constantly at war with your own nervous system. Your anxiety is not your enemy, and you are not broken. You're a sophisticated organism receiving sophisticated feedback that your current life configuration contains threats to your authentic survival. And you can either silence that feedback or honor it. The world will tell you to silence it because people who listen to their anxiety start making changes, and changes disrupt systems. People who decode their anxiety stop tolerating the intolerable, and that makes them dangerous to every structure built on compliance. But you weren't built to comply. You were built to thrive. And thriving requires you to listen when your system tells you something's wrong, even when everyone around you insists you should just learn to cope. So stop fighting your anxiety like it's a disease to be cured. Start treating it like intelligence to be decoded, like a language to be learned, like a guide trying to lead you back to yourself. Because that's what it is, your deepest self trying to get your attention, trying to save you from a life that looks good on paper but feels wrong in your body, trying to redirect you toward something real. The anxiety isn't the problem. The life that creates constant anxiety is the problem. And you already know what needs to change. Your anxiety has been telling you for years. The only question is whether you're finally ready to listen.